Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer. The feature race at Aqueduct on Saturday is for New York bred fillies and mares going a one-turn mile. Race number 7 is the $100,000 Biagio's Rose. Let's take a look at this field of 8, and it's pretty evenly matched with the 7 Venti Valentine, who's been sort of the gatekeeper in this division for a year and a half or so now. A slight favorite at 5-2, coming into this race off 7 consecutive top 3 finishes.
Yeah, I won't argue with her being the morning line favorite, perhaps even the horse to beat in here, Dan, already a multiple stakes winner. Maybe getting back over fast dirt does the trick here because she's coming up short lately. The last 2 starts over fast dirt, they're both stakes wins.
Stretching out to a mile should not be an issue for her, and she's very tactical from a running style standpoint. We'll see where our friends at Timeform US have her on the Timeform US pace projector. A bit surprised that they have her at the back of the pack, although you'll note the LP flag indicating that she has the fastest Timeform US late pace rating. As for the early speeds, Bonadieu has shown that sort of speed in the past. I wouldn't be surprised if she's up front. Stonewall Sar, blinkers off. Maybe that's a sign they're going to try to rate her. Security code's going to likely tuck into a spot like last time, just off.
Several horses with really good tactical speed in here. To be honest, Dan, I know the blinkers are coming off. I'd be pretty surprised if they were going to try to rate Stonewall Star in here because I don't see her winning this race from off the pace in here. Bonadieu has good speed. She's up in class for this. Boston Bay, the 4th. That horse is plenty fast. She doesn't need the lead, but she's plenty fast.
Like Venti Valentine, the number 1 security code is very consistent. She's hit the board in her last 8 starts, including this narrow victory over Venti Valentine in the Broadway going 7 furlongs. I really liked what Jose Ortiz did on the backstretch. He was sort of prompting in between horses. Jose raided her back off the burgeoning pace battle, got her to the outside, floated Venti Valentine, who's on the far outside wide, turning into the stretch. And while this last 1/8 of a mile, it's kind of painful to watch, they're kind of slogging it out through the stretch. Security code is game enough to hold off Venti Valentine.
Pretty underrated. She did wear this horse down eventually on the lead there. It's worth noting that Can't Hurry Love, the horse that faded to 3rd there. She's a good horse, but she probably doesn't want to go 7, as you could see in the replay. And Security Code got the job done. Dan, I'm not knocking this horse. She's good. She shows up every single time. She can get another good trip in this race. I just don't think I would take the 7-2 on her in here, but she could easily win right back.
The Sweetest Princess was a fine $35,000 claim by trainer Jimmy Ferraro, who's reached the winner's circle 3 times with this daughter of Cairo Prince. Now, she was 4th in the Broadway last time out. Did you see an excuse?
Not really. I mean, it just wasn't maybe her best performance, but she went into the Broadway, that first, stepping back up in class for that race. She went into that in really good form, Dan. To me, she just wasn't quite good enough in there. I mean, she was trying to switch out to the clear in the upper stretch, and Venti Valentine was there to her outside and sort of kept her in, but she just didn't really have much of a finish in there, Dan. I'm more than anything else, I'm concerned about the mile for her.
I think a strong argument could be made conversely that the 3 Sweet Mystery's best distance is a mile, and she's going to be cutting back to this trip after racing 9 furlongs in an open first level allowance this race back on February the 11th. And Sweet Mystery made a mid-move into it. Mike's going to get rebuffed and finish 2nd. I think the winner, Kappa Girl's a nice horse, however, and Sweet Mystery really tried all the way down to the wire.
Yeah, she did. She's only 2nd best in here to a horse who was pretty heavily favored, but she tries real hard. And that's what she does in all of her races. She's not, any kind of superstar, Dan, and she has a lot to prove as a stakes horse. But like you, I think cutting back really helps her. She can get the right trip in this race because there's a chance the pace sets up for her, and she's going to sit a little bit and try to run through the stretch.
The number 4 is Boston Bay, and you mentioned that this one does have speed and she does have class. She's a 12-time winner, and she's coming off of a comfortable win against an open 2nd level allowance group. Let's watch that race going a 1-turn mile where Boston Bay just broke things open on the turn and then keeps to her task. She has always been solid. She's versatile enough to lead or rate. 5-1 on the morning line for Linda Rice.
Yeah, listen, I mean, I can't say that I've ever thought of Boston Bay as a stakes horse, but man, does she like to win races. She's versatile. She pretty much shows up every time. And I really like this performance from her. I mean, I know she's back on short rest here, moving up in class, but she did all the hard work on the lead in here. She put the pace players away in there and held off a pretty good horse in Tough Street easily.
Lady Mine is the number 5, and she's a neck away from coming into this race on a 5-race winning streak. Here's her most recent start, finishing off her 2nd level New York bred condition and won it like a 1-5 shot should. She didn't get away very quickly, but she soon asserted herself with a wide sweeping move, and she takes over the lead. And this is how you want your odds-on favorites to win. Now she's going to stretch out to the mile, and that's a little bit of a question mark.
The mile is a question mark. It's also at least worth pointing out. This horse is in great form right now. This is a pretty significant move up in class because this field that she's beating right here that we're watching, that was not a good field for the level. So we'll just see if she handles one more step up in class. I love her recent form, Dan. She's a very short price on the morning line. This is a way tougher race.
Speaking of horses in very good form stepping up in class, the speedy Bonadu brings a 3-race win streak to the Biagio's Rose, including this gate-to-wire performance against state-bred second-level allowance foes going the one-turn mile. And she went to the lead in this race. And at the 3/16 pole, she puts everybody in the rearview mirror.
It's an impressive win for her, making it 3 wins in a row. Rudy's obviously gotten her very good right now, as opposed to some of the others. You don't have to worry about the mile distance for her. It's just a question of, how fast does this pace get? Because she has not been going all that fast on the lead in her recent starts.
Venti Valentine, you just get the feeling is going to get the right setup in this race. This pace has to be solid, and she's the kind that can sit back and make one run. We saw her just miss last time out, going 7 against Security Code. She's been very good at a mile in her career. There's just a lot to like, and so you might argue that 5-2 compared to the 3-1 on Lady Mine is a very good price.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that at all. I mean, I can't. The only little drawback to that I have, Dan, is I can't say that I love her recent form. I know there's a lot of wet tracks in there. We saw the replay of the Broadway a little while ago there. I mean, she ran fine in there, but she didn't really have any excuse. It's not like she had a ton of ground to make up through the stretch, and they weren't flying in front of her. I mean, she just couldn't quite get there. So, I'm a little disappointed in her recent form. I do think she's the horse to beat in here.
The Stonewall Star completes the field. She was a very talented 2-year-old New York bred that even did some good work down at Laurel Park against Open Company. She had an abbreviated 3-year-old campaign, however, and ever since she's come back, Mike, it's just been a carbon copy after another. Speed, pop, stop. Has she come back as good? It doesn't appear that way.
No, she hasn't so far, but we'll see if maybe she's just racing herself back into shape here, Dan. I just don't like any of her last 3 starts, and I was a fan of hers early on. I'm not terribly concerned about the mile for her. I think she'll get this far. It's just all about what kind of trip does she get, how fast does she have to go.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Biagio's Rose. I realize Lady Mine is stepping up in class. I'm curious to see what kind of trip she can pull. I do think she can get the mile. I'm interested why you didn't go with Security Code in your top 4, Mike. She just seems very, very consistent. Was it because she had a really nice trip last time?
Yeah, I mean, she had a really good trip, and she's just not going to be much price this time, Dan. I mean, she's I think she can win here, but I think a lot of horses can win here. And so I don't really want any of the shorter prices. It's really the only reason that I have Lady Mine 4th. I mean, I think she can win. I just don't want to bet her at a short price. Sweet Mystery, she'll need her best, and she'll need a trip in here, but she's pretty good, and she's going to be a price.
And this is her distance, and she might get the right race flow. 3475 for Mike, 5174 for me in the Biagio's Rose at Aqueduct on Saturday. Good luck.